Turkey Day, everybody! Well, almost Turkey Day. Or a day before, but don't worry. Day late, dollar short. Doesn't matter. Thanksgiving is on the horizon. You see him right there. Mr. Anthony Prohaska from Cover One. We're talking all things Buffalo Bills. Boy Green will be along shortly. Anthony, happy Thanksgiving week. How are you, sir?
Happy Thanksgiving. I am super pumped for the food and the holiday and not so pumped about the Bills, but, beggars can't be choosers. It is what it is. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You spending it at home, or what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Give us a quick taste.
We go to my wife's side of the family, so like New York City, New Jersey, combination of those two, just based on where we decide to settle each year. But yeah, so we'll be leaving very late night, Wednesday night / early Thursday morning, depending on how much we drag our feet with that. And then, we'll be there for the back end of the week and enjoying all the madness. And then coming back home, we're supposed to get like I don't know if it's going to hit you in central New York. There's supposed to be like a bad snowstorm towards the back end of the week. That's like sweeping through. I think it's more like the south and making its way up. So I'm hoping not to get caught in that one way or the other, but looking forward to it.
It looks like only an inch or two here in the greater central New York area, but it's coming on Friday, Black Friday. So you're going to be out there doing some shopping. You might be dodging the snowflakes, but nothing new here up in this part of the world. Yeah. So who cares? No big deal. You ever go to the parade? You a parade guy at all? You ever go to the Thanksgiving Day parade?
It's just, no. I lived in New York City for essentially 10 years, like 9.5.
Wow.
And, I was there for a while. Yeah, no, it's just, there's so many people.
I know, it's crazy.
I can't imagine. And it's like, I worked in Midtown. So anything where there was a lot of people just pissed me off. Like, I hated like walking through, having to get through Times Square ever, or especially on like New Year's Eve and the streets are all cut off and I have to walk around things. And so like the idea of just like a ton of people, you're packed in, you can't really move. Like once you plant your flag of where you're going to be, you can't get out. So it's, I have not ever gone to the parade. It's not something that it really like tickles my fancy, but I feel like I should do it at some point, but never.
All right. You've never done it. I'll tell you my quick story. All right. Quick story on the parade, and we'll get into Buffalo Bills stuff. Why not delay the inevitable?
Fair chance. Just drop the hammer.
I'm looking forward to talking about that Houston Texans loss, but we got to start there and then we'll work our way towards the rest of the season here. Quick parade story. So I've been to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade twice. In both cases, Anthony, I was a participant.
So I was actually going to ask. I was going as a guest or as a participant.
Participant. Cool. So I've never gone as just a spectator because, like you said, it's just nuts and crazy. But if you're a participant, you're in the middle of all that. You're walking right past everybody. You're not nothing's in your way. You get the free reign. I did it because I used to work for Macy's years ago, and Macy's uses its employees from its stores all over the New York tri-state area. And I used to work at the Macy's way out in Roosevelt Field in Garden City, Long Island. And they would ask us every year, do you want to participate in the parade? What the Macy's employees essentially do at the parade is they are the balloon carriers. We're the balloon string people.
So you got to hold a string attached to a balloon.
Yes, and you're going to love my story. All right. So 2 years I volunteered. You actually get paid for it, which is kind of cool. You get like an hourly wage, and they give you a nice Thanksgiving Day dinner. Right after you finish, you go into this beautiful warehouse and they have a big dinner and you get to eat for free. And then you get to go home and eat more, because it's in the morning. I mean, you finish up, I don't know, noon, 1 o'clock, but most of us don't eat till 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So easy. I get like 2 Thanksgiving meals, which was kind of cool on Macy's, plus a little bit of extra dough, which was fine. Yep. So first year I did it, I was on the Yogi Bear balloon.
Okay.
And then the second time I was on the Superman balloon. Now, Anthony, this is an interesting little thing. When you get on these balloon floats, all right, as you know, some days, the wind is kicking a little more than others. They even sometimes shut down the balloons if it's too windy because it can be dangerous, right?
Yes.
It was a moderate day, and they made the decision, we're going to go with the balloons, but we're going to keep them a little extra low, so we're not going to let them out to full mast. They can go way up in the air. You can kind of reel them in. They're attached basically by these cords, and all these individuals usually have about 15, 20 individuals who are holding the balloon to the ground as that helium is lifting the balloon up, right?
Okay.
So I'm on Superman, and they ask at the beginning of it, when you're on the extremities of the balloons, those are the ones that are the most high tension. So they usually look for people, dare I say, that have some girth, that are kind of bigger people. Okay. But our crew, there weren't that many big people. And I'm like in my 20s. And so if you're not looking for somebody big, they're looking for somebody athletic, strong, whatever, somebody that looks like they can handle it. So they point me out and they say, hey, would you be willing to be on Superman's hand there? It's a little more tension. So you just got to just be careful, blah, blah, blah. And they had this whole emergency procedure that they put you through. They show everybody if someone gets in trouble or whatever, this is what we do. There's always like 5 or 6 people who are not on a cord and then rotate in. And those 5 or 6, their job is, if anything happens, to go over and help the person who's having the issue.
Oh, okay.
So we're coming around this corner. I'm on Superman's arm. Everything's going fine. And we're Supermaning up. We come around this corner down towards Times Square, and the wind gusts up a little. Superman's arm starts to go up, right? Now, one of the pieces of advice that they had to use is, if the tension gets too hard, you might have to just literally let go of the cord, but they don't really want you to do that. But, again, if it gets too crazy. Well, I wasn't doing that. I'm the athletic guy. I've been asked to this job. This is like sitting, in the exit row on the plane, like I'm going to be the one that saves us all. I'll get that door open and we'll get it safely.
You're Secret Service. You're protecting the president. Exactly, you're ready to take a bullet. You're there.
So long story short, right? I'm not letting go of that cord. We come around this corner and a gust comes. Anthony, I'm holding onto the cord and I just stay on it. It lifts me about 15 feet off the ground. I'm screaming the emergency word. I mean, they give you like a word. I don't remember if it was like electricity or something, like electricity. And now the people are coming over that are not on the string. Except I'm already 15 feet in the air. They can't even reach me right now. And I'm just dangling, right? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm not letting it go. So finally, wind lets down a little bit. I start to come a little lower. They grab me by the feet and they pull me to the ground. So I had a real scare on the Macy's Day Parade as I was attached to the Superman's arm. Right?
That's crazy. That's one. Yeah, that's nuts too. It's so funny too because my wife and I and my friends and I would always talk to, like, I don't have in my family circle, friend circle, no one's ever known someone who's been in the parade and been on like a balloon. So my friends, me and my wife, family, like we're always talking like, man, I wonder what it's like to, hold on to the balloon. I wonder, like, literally we had those conversations of like, does anybody get sucked up off the street? Does that so it's crazy that you have those details. I've never spoken to anyone with like in parade action. Oh man, that's nuts.
Boy, Green, I was just telling him the story of Superman.
Oh, I know.
Got flying in the air on the balloon. Yeah. Okay. He's heard that story before. I've told that story on the radio, but I've never told it to our digital friends. So I figured I'd share that story again. Good old memories of Thanksgiving being up in the air. I love
that you hung on. You trooped it out. You were like,
I wouldn't let go. Right? I don't know why. I just like hung on to it. It just like took me up. I was like, whoa.
That's super good. Oh, man. Good times. That's crazy.
Crisis avoided. I did come back to the ground. They pulled me to the ground, and then they pulled me. They were like, "All right, we're gonna have 2 people on this the rest of the way." It's crazy.
Can't have this again. Oh my God! And it's funny too. Like all the little details of like, I didn't know about that there's essentially like rotating people to keep an eye out or like the safe word things. And hearing that, it makes sense because it's like a serious production, and I can imagine like them making sure everybody's prepped and prepared. Oh yeah, those are really cool little details. I didn't expect to get that kind of cool knowledge in this, and it makes me feel better about the sad state of the Bills. This is a good start. I like this.
Well, actually, that's interesting. The prepped and prepared sort of thing. Didn't seem like we saw that from the Bills against the Houston Texans, Anthony Prohaska.
How many wins did the Jets have this year, Paul?
Whoa, man! I was wondering when you were going to pull out that card.
We don't speak too loud. Our teams are not exactly, in it to win it, as they say.
But Paul's spot on. It's. I wouldn't even say it's that they haven't been prepped and prepared. It's the way that they've prepped and prepared and what they've done and their lack of adjustments when their preparations have gone sideways. But that's a very good lead in, although it hits me right in my heart.
So, Anthony, do you think at this point, I mean, again, mathematically, we know it's not, but at this point, do you think that the division is out of reach and the Bills should just be playing strictly for the wild card and get into the playoffs at this point? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think at this point, you're just trying to right the ship and do what you can, get into the playoffs. If you get hot at the right time, it can work out for you. And I've said that even on the show multiple times. Like, I would like to win the division to continue the streak of continuing to go forward, but and especially this being the last year at Highmark / Ralph Wilson / Rich Stadium, it would be cool to get a home playoff game there. I think everybody was really, especially with how the season started, I think a lot of fans were looking for the storybook of they'll go to the Super Bowl this year. The AFC Championship will be at the stadium. That's how they'll close it out. I think that would be really awesome. And so that's kind of disappointing that it looks like that won't happen. But I've said it, like, you've won the division, you've had home field advantage against certain opponents, you've never been the one, but still, it hasn't made like the end all be all difference. So just get to the playoffs and we'll see what happens from there. And at this point, yeah, I do think the way the Patriots schedule is lining up, you really essentially have, if you're the Bills, it's still possible. You have to win out, although you have Philly on the roster, though, on the schedule, though Philly is looking wonky. But you have to beat Philly. You have to beat the Patriots. And the Patriots have you well scouted. You're playing predictable. And the Patriots will be coming off a bye week, and you have to go to their house and play them. So I think that's going to be a tough game for the Bills. But essentially, you have to win out if you're the Bills. And then the Patriots would have to lose to Miami, you, and someone else. Though I do think it's possible. Like, I think the Patriots could lose to Baltimore. I think the Patriots could lose to the Bills. And then you're just hoping they drop another game. I think Miami potentially. But yeah, I do think the division is out of reach. You're just trying to right the ship and get ready for the playoffs.
And I would even say the Giants have a puncher's chance this Monday night.
I'm hoping,
not thinking, but I just do. I think they have a puncher's chance. All that change, the new coach in place, now the DC's out. The Giants just might be a little weird this week, and the Patriots, to me, while they're very good this year, to me still are not a team that I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't see that in the Patriots right now. I see a better team. I see marked improvement, but I'm not willing to go way out there with them. Yeah. You agree?
I agree. And it's not just because I hate the Patriots with every fiber of my being. Drake May is sweet. Stephon Diggs is sweet. They have a lot of really cool defenders, and they're well coached on both sides of the ball. But to your point, yeah, I don't think, even if they got the one seed, if you have to go to New England in the playoffs, I know the mystique and everything with it, but I'm not looking at this Patriots team being like, oh my God, this is going to be impossible. Like, I think they're a good team. I don't think they're an insurmountable team to overcome. And even if you look at a lot of their wins, and I say this, obviously as still a person recognizes a win is a win, but a lot of their wins have been like unimpressive, even though they're against like poor teams. And it's still just kind of like, okay, and I do think it's funny that for everybody who drummed up early in the year for the Bills, like, who have the Bills beat? The Patriots, it's the same conversation. Granted, the Patriots did beat the Bills, so the Bills can't talk, but we're not having that conversation around the Patriots. And I think that is interesting. We'll see. I think their game against Baltimore is going to be really, really interesting as the Ravens keep getting healthier. They're still my dark horse to come out of the AFC and win this whole thing.
All right, Anthony, I'm going to play the role of the Sour Patch Kids. First out, then they're sweet. I pushed you down like a jerk, and now I'm like, hey, you know what? Come back over here. I was just messing with you. And it's this. There's only been one team that went undefeated, won the Super Bowl. That was the 1972 Miami Dolphins. So that means every other Super Bowl team lost during the regular season, then figured it out. So I turn that to you, Anthony. The Bills have had a couple of losses this year. Are those just losses? And again, every other team that wins the Super Bowl dusts themselves off and finds a way. Or are these losses, sort of to what you said earlier, indicators of like the Texans game where it seemed like they weren't adjusting? They became very predictable in certain formations, certain situations. Is that an indicator of, hey, yeah, sure, these are lost right now, but they're an indication of they're not going to be able to overcome these same things, and that's going to be the murderer. You're in the shower, then you see the shadow. Geez, that's the murderer from earlier. We're dead.
Yeah, and I think in this instance, like the call is coming from inside the house with this team, and I do think they can push some different buttons and pull some different levers on the offensive side of the ball and help things a bit. But largely, especially on the defensive side, I guess I'll start there. A lot of their issues I don't think are going to be fixed. Like, they are a horrible run defending team. That's not going to change. And because the reason they're bad at defending the run, granted, they have a bunch of injuries and that's impacting things, but the way they built this defense, they, essentially, like, the run defense was foregone. Like, the body types that they have, the defensive philosophy and identity, the positional archetypes, they're going to struggle to stop the run. That's going to be a consistent issue. The tackling looks like it's going to be a consistent issue. The health is going to be an issue. Ed Oliver might come back, but if he does, how good is that arm going to be with the bicep issue? Michael Hoyt is done. Joey Bosa's wrist is jacked up. Will he be able to heal? Kind of maybe. Does Terrell Bernard get healthier? Kind of maybe. So I don't really think a lot of things are going to change defensively. Offensively, you just brought in Brandin Cooks. I don't think he's a huge needle mover for the wide receiver room or the team in general on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think it hurts to bring in a guy like that, but again, it's still not a bucket getter at wide receiver, and I don't have a ton of faith in Joe Brady right now to maximize what he's had, what he's got. Because even I don't think Curtis Samuel is this great answer. I don't think Elijah Moore is this great answer, but he's still not maximizing what they can be. Granted, they each have variables, especially Samuel with his injuries. But I think they have a lot of structural issues that are tied to their philosophy and identity on both sides of the ball and the way that they built this roster for this year and the lack of building and evolution on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't think those things can be fixed in season, and especially going forward at this point. So again, it's push some different buttons, pull some different levers, especially with play action on the offensive side of the ball, try and create some explosives that way. But essentially you're just trying to mitigate all your vulnerabilities and then hope that Josh Allen gets hot and you can ride that wave to a Super Bowl. And that's tough.
Well, Anthony, I remember when we were talking about the NFL trade deadline, you gave me your wish list. I gave it to Santa and he spit on it apparently for whatever you wanted. But Rashid Shaheed was on that list. Mm-hmm. Isn't Brandin Cooks a poor man's version of Rashid Shaheed, former 4-3 guys that could fill that role? So, it's not what you wanted for Christmas. You wanted a name brand. Your parents got you slightly off-store brand. Isn't that sort of close?
Not at 32 years old, Brandin Cooks, and this version of him. And I mean that as non-disrespectfully as possible. He's a good route runner. I mean, even Bills fans, if anyone remembers, he turned Cole Bishop inside out when the Bills played the Saints earlier this year, and Rattler just threw the ball a little too low in the end zone. It was initially ruled a touchdown, then they took a peek and saw there it wasn't. He's a good route runner, but even if you look at his route tree this year and the routes that he's been targeted on, granted he's only got 24 targets, a lot of it is underneath and short, it's crossers, it's hitches. You get some digs or some ins and some outs, but he's not getting targeted on goal balls. He's not really getting targeted on the deep stuff. He's not the field stretcher, downfield threat that he used to be. Can he still move? Sure. But I think he's more of, a savvy vet route runner type of dude you're using. He just doesn't have that juice to pull away. And especially if you're comparing him with Shaheed, I think Shaheed, timed speeds or not, look at tape, guys who move, Shaheed might be one of the fastest dudes in the NFL. He just has a different level of juice and gait and stride when he gets moving. So I would have much preferred Shaheed. But at this point, beggars can't be choosers. So, you hurt yourself in no way by taking a flyer with Cooks. If he doesn't work out, you're exactly where you were before. If he helps you a little bit, cool, that's a win. But I wouldn't say he's a poor man, Shaheed.
I think Shaheed would have got a lot more action in Buffalo, and he's getting out there in Seattle too with JSN just taking over out there. Talking with Anthony Prohaska, our Bills insider, inside the Bills here on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget, pop that subscribe button. We'd love for you to become part of our growing family as we continue to motor through. We're only 4.5 months into our evolution here digitally. Of course, we had a radio show for nearly 30 years on the Syracuse airwaves, and we've continued to extend that here to the digital world. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria. Let's just take 30 seconds to learn a little bit more about our friends from Cam's.
When you think of Cam's Pizzeria, think about two of your favorites, their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
All right, we are back talking with Anthony Prohaska, Cover One, our Bills insider on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget, hit that like button if you like what you're hearing. Anthony, not only Brandin Cooks, Buffalo really busy on the free agent world here, trying to find some table scraps, and it's a return of the Shaq. I'm talking about Shaq Lawson back to the practice squad. What are your thoughts about why the Bills brought him back?
He's a guy who knows the system and who they're familiar
with. By this pickup, Anthony. Wow, I love it.
No, listen, it is what it is. They're banged up. They've got some injuries, and they're looking at this point, who are you going to get? And you're looking at the end of November. If you bring it, first of all, there's not a bunch of studs that are just available to be added, first and foremost. Second of all, even if there is someone who might be better, you still got to get them to learn your ways. And what do you know about them? How much can they really help you? I think Shaq Lawson is a known quantity, whatever that quantity is. He's a known quantity for the Buffalo Bills, and they think they can potentially get something out of it. Again, he's added to the practice squad. We'll see what it means, but I don't think it's much of a needle mover. I think it's more of a just try and stem the bleeding a little bit, but I don't even know if he really does that or how much he'll even play. I think they're just trying to gear up and reinforce some injured spots that they have and doing it with guys who they know who they are, what they are, as unsexy as it may be. My deep sigh and just frustration with it is more of just, it just seems like they just keep bringing guys in who they know, which is understandable, but like the response from the fan base is predictably frustrating. And then it just, should these guys even be on rosters? There's so many just offshoots and questions that get answered, but it's the state of the world that we live in, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I love that commercial.
Cooks and Lawson. Go ahead, BG. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I love that commercial, right? You have the Billy Mays where the water's gushing out of the thing, and then you have the duct tape and Shaq Lawson. Brandin Cooks. And yeah, that'll fix it.
And so. I think for the Shaq Lawson signing, I think is more understandable because again, you've had injuries up front. Even Jordan Phillips, who like I don't really think should be playing for anyone. Like he's thrust into starting spots and snaps because they're so banged up there. Like again, it's understandable. I still think you could find something better elsewhere, but I get the notion of like, hey, it's not going to be really great. Where it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Let's go with the guy we know, and maybe we can see what we get. I get that notion. It's just frustrating that they're in this spot again, where it seems like year after year, no matter what they do in the offseason, the defensive line is still needing reinforcement at some point. And then with wide receiver, they essentially and largely neglected it all offseason, and now they're trying to grasp at straws at the trade deadline, the waiver wire, and this is something they could have addressed in the draft and in free agency, but chose not to, and they're paying the price more for that than they are the defensive spots, which has just more been unfortunate luck with injury and bad roster construction.
Anthony, before the start of this interview, did you look under your bed? Did you look in the closet for the boogeyman, Aaron Rodgers? Does he scare you? Huh? Does he keep you up at night?
I think he can still sling it, and I think they do some things that can give the Bills problems a little bit. And at this point, anyone that the Bills play, I'm not over. I mean, I never overlook anyone. You guys know this. But even more so now, just the way that no, there's no I overlook no one. I said it. Even going into the Miami game, I said I was like, true. Miami's going to be tough. Like what if they lose this game? And that's both of them, especially the second one. But yeah,
I think he'd make a good coach.
Very good coach.
Paul Pasqualoni used to say it all the time here in Syracuse. Say, we got a very tough matchup, really tough one. I say, but coach, you're playing Temple. They're 0-9. It's like, tough, multiple. They throw a lot of things at you. They're a tough team. They come out hard, play hard.
That would be me.
Very hard team.
That would be me. And if you ask me like on the podium, like, you guys are really heavily favored. Yeah, you're number one in this. You're playing a team that's this. Like, you should have an easy win. I'd be like, shut up. Why would you ask me that? How dare you try to put that energy and atmosphere into the universe? But yeah, I think Pittsburgh, can do some things on both sides of the ball to give the Bills problems. I'm terrified of, Darnell Washington, just people moving the hell out of everybody on the Bills defense because their front just gets moved a ton. I mean, he's 311 pounds, apparently. I think he literally could grab Terrell Bernard and throw him from the middle of the field, like out past the sideline. Like we're into like I don't know. It's like, I'm trying to think of this is like an Undertaker versus like a Rey Mysterio type situation.
Oh, Jesus.
From a guy's perspective. Like it's scary for what could happen out there. And Rodgers a little bit, I still think he can sling it. And with the way the Bills defense has been so poor against the run and up and down, it wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers or even like Mason Rudolph had a decently successful day, whoever plays a QB there. I'm not checking under my bed for the boogeyman, but I am paranoid and terrified in general.
I looked at the history. The Bills have won 4 of the last 5, including a playoff game against the Steelers. These are 2 teams, Anthony, that enter this game both needing a win. I mean, the Steelers are being hunted now by the Ravens, who seem to be kind of returning to form and returning back to good health. They're dealing with, obviously, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and him trying to go out there and gut it with a bad left wrist now. We'll see if he can get out there on the field and make a difference. So important to both teams. Never an easy place to play. I always tend to pick the Steelers at home when we do our pick segment every week because they're just so good at home. Tomlin seems to be able to get them right. That crowd and that stadium seem to be a big advantage. So how big a test is this? The fact that the Bills have won 4 out of 5, does that give you any solace in the fact that the Bills will go up there and be extremely competitive and probably be able to pull away with the win?
No, not really. So much of it, I feel like, is to play them, right? Like, and what version of the Steelers are you getting? History doesn't mean much for me unless it's really like the same team and you've played them in like recent years and everything is largely.
It is very scattered. I was looking at that. It is scattered.
It is scattered. And I think they're a different squad this year than the last time they played, just like they were several years ago, like when Duck Hodges was the QB and they beat him on Sunday Night Football. You just look at how this Steelers team is built. I think there's significant differences versus what they were previously. Granted, Tomlin's still at the helm and you kind of know from an identity perspective how they're going to play. But you know, I think it's just the history doesn't give me comfort knowing that they've won 4 out of 5, just like it didn't give me comfort with the Miami Dolphins this year. And it's like, oh, the Bills have owned that match. I'm like, I don't care. And that has more recency than the Steelers one does. So I wish it gave me more, you know, a nice warm blanket, but no, it does not.
No warm blankets for you.
I'm so sorry, Anthony Prohaska, that we can't give you the only accompanying thing I could say. If you look over my right shoulder there, Christmas tree.
Yes,
the parents says it's a Grinch Christmas tree.
I was saying
trying
it's
to
very
match your
Grinch-like.
Christmas tree energy.
I like it. I appreciate it. Next week,
Okay.
I'll take the little one and move it there. And then I'll have a bigger, I should say, frosted, more Christmas-esque theme. And then I'll also dress that one up for Christmas over there. So yeah, I'll have 2 trees next week. So you're gonna have to step your game up.
Looking forward to
beautiful.
that.
Okay, we'll see if I can touche that. What does Sean McDermott have to do this season? I'm talking end goal. I'm not talking just regular season. I mean, like, what does he have to accomplish to remain the Bills head coach, remain employed in 2026? Does he have to get to the AFC Championship game? I saw that on ESPN. They had that on the ticker for a debate show. Is it playoffs? Is it divisional round? Is it what is it? Is it Super Bowl?
I think it's the opposite. I think his position is firmly secure unless the wheels really fall off, unless they go off the rails. So I think it's the opposite. I think he's good unless they bottom out. Like they have to not make the playoffs and the way, like, I think that in and of itself would be a big red flag. But even that, I don't know if that's going to be enough to kind of move him out. They would really have to bottom out. You'd have to see just losses down the stretch for the most part. You'd have to see bad football. And then I think that would have to be coupled with like Josh Allen kind of looking checked out or the culture not taking hold anymore. Because that's really what his calling card is. I still respect him as a defensive mind. I like what he's done from a coverage standpoint since he's taken over as defensive coordinator for this year. It's just been unfortunate that, you know, Joey Bosa got hurt and the pass rush was kind of falling off because of some of that. And that he hasn't been able to kind of tie it together. But I don't think he's an overall like schematic advantage type of guy. I think he's a good culture guy. I think he's the guy who, if you have a fledgling or struggling organization, he'll come in, he'll turn that energy around, the attitude, the vibes, as stupid as that sounds, he can turn that around and make you believe, make you a destination. I don't know if he's the guy that necessarily can get you over the hump. And so if his strengths, which are culture and consistency, once that starts to erode and you can tell that he's losing the room, that's when I think you start to see like, he could really be gone. So I think if they make the playoffs, he's fine. If they just kind of do anything in the playoffs, he's fine. I think largely he's fine. They would have to completely bottom out and everything would have to be on fire for him to go. And even then, you could still kind of put some of this on Brandon Beane's plate for how they built the team, even though I think both of those guys were in lockstep. But yeah, I think things would really have to go sideways down the stretch for him to even be considered to be getting the door.
Yeah, I don't think he's on the hot seat at all this year either. But, you know, like you said, you know, collapse can always change things. But I don't see the Bills collapsing.
I mean, look at, granted, they're different. The Sabres have been like the worst organization in hockey. And Terry Pegula refuses to do anything with Kevin Adams. You just refuses. And he doesn't have the credibility or the track record anywhere near what McDermott and Beane have done here. So I think they've earned, you know, some rope and some leash for themselves. So that helps as well. But yeah, the Sabres are a good example of he hasn't done anything with them. He's just letting them sit. And that's also a cautionary tale as well. Like, Bean and McDermott are the only thing that's keeping like Terry Pagula at bay from meddling with the Bills the way he's meddled with the Sabres. And look at what's happened to the Sabres.
Yeah, interesting. Anthony Prohaska, always good talking to you, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And we will talk to you again next week after we all got our bellies nice and stuffed and full from all that turkey.
Sounds good. Appreciate you. Enjoy your holiday. Happy Thanksgiving.